One of the things that becomes essential with a scripture sometimes is a commentary that gives context and explains more in full what some of the words are and organizes and helps you find where themes are and how things relate to each other. Of course, you can make your own conclusions, but what's previously been done is a very important thing to consider. In Islam, people aren't supposed to merely have their own opinions. They're supposed to support what they have and wait, ideally for whether or not it's supported before they believe or act in any manner. Now, the Quran made easy does do a lot better with its English translation per se, but the pages of I don't remember how many pages, and I don't think I can show you, but of technical terms and saying Rob and Kafir and all that other stuff because you're supposed to think of the whole definition, and yes, you are, but just translate it and refers to the thing. Making the language easier than the Pickthall or the Yusuf Ali or the Ahmed Ali, which lacks some clarity because of its poetic nature. I mean, it's pretty clear compared to a lot of stuff, but you know what I mean. But the introduction or the index section really is detailed enough that you can base a life on, and that I'll praise this for. There's one very strong, unsubstantiated thing that it has towards the beginning of its introductory commentary, is this creationist idea of Adam only being 6,155 years before Muhammad. There's also a throwaway line in when it talks about the Quran and talks about, well, that nothing abrogated was included. Well, all those narrations about parts of the Quran that were lost don't fit linguistically. And if you look at them, you don't have to be Albani. They're weak narrations. I mean, they would probably be included in something like the Bible, but these arguments don't fall through. And we can have new opinions. We just should consider the sciences of not only the explicit religious things, but the ones where people will, look at things without religion. Now, we have 6 variations, or is it 7 variations, of the verse numbering, but the lettering and the numbering in that way, I mean, the numbers of the letters is the same. The words are the same. There's dialectical differences which really don't amount to much. I've looked at it, and there's not that many. In one dialect you could have a sin, in the other dialect you could have a sod in that place. And our noon or a meme may change place. Are there 6,666 verses? Are there 6,000 verses? Are there 6,214 verses? Are there 6,219 verses? Are there 6,236 verses? Are there 6,226 verses? Are there 6,225 verses? Well, as I said, it depends on the dialect. because it said there are 10 main readings of Al-Quran. Not even a tenth of the Quran could be said to be commandments. And there's a balance between heaven and hell references. You don't have this hell by itself and you feel like, no, there's the way out and stuff mentioned with it. You have, it's integral between the types of revelation, sort of the revelation that's an occult recitation and the revelation that's, explicit, is a way to translate what's said. So, the inspiration, the inspired life, that's something that we look at when we're commenting. But the Quran in itself is not a riddle when it's in itself. It's just, it helps to know the language and stuff a bit better, because the place I first read that chapter, about mentioning the people, the elephant, and I'm like, is this a jab at Hindus? It's like, no, it had nothing to do with anything stemming from India or something. There's information about, the Quran, how it was written in different periods of time. Yes, it's been made easier with more marks as time goes on. There was some confusion earlier, so in terms of, we can't have the vowel marks being the same as the letter marks, and some people were writing it that way, so that was changed. And there was color coding, which I think would have been nice, that the vowel marks perhaps would be in well, red and black was how it was compiled. Certainly, the earlier generations could have understood the basic implications much better than we in our generation could, because they knew, they were there in the circumstance. But if we refer to what the Prophet said, in terms and did as part of a religious authority, not, he was a particular race and ate certain foods or something. No, that's not really what we're looking at. But we can apply the current sciences and stuff in how we think about our mythological text. Now, I say mythological as in it's full of meaning, it's full of purpose. And having in parentheses comments in the middle, it's okay. It can make it difficult to read and figure out directly what the text is saying, because some people are going to lose track. But some of this is like the Surah 5:103. Well, just don't tell us it's animal superstitions that's being opposed. Tell us exactly what it is. Tell us what elsewhere zakum is. Tell us that that's the stifling sort of thing, comparing it to a cold. That sort of information is helpful. Be exact. Just don't tell us the subject, because some of what's in the list of the glossary isn't the thing. But right off the bat, you have to learn a bunch of words in order to read a translation. I've seen this happen again and again with Islamic literature, and it stands in the way. Give us full translations and say, yes, the style, because when you read things and you instantly the difference between what Muhammad said and the Quran just by hearing it. Nobody has to tell you further information if you're used to this stuff. You can, you can recognize it. There are notes in here about the revelation being received, how it would be experienced different, that Muhammad would become heavy if he received revelation when he was on top of one of his wives, that it was like one of those weird things, just like how sometimes people have weighed less instantly when they died. Um, you hear accounts where that's been scientifically weighed. So, um, and we do see that certain brain states, well, it's not just in the brain, it's other parts of the body where consciousness and stuff takes place, are more common when people are having spiritual experiences. They don't guarantee spiritual experiences, but that's it. So the situation of Muhammad not being somebody who ever recited poetry, or poetry and prose are different words in Arabic. That if you look at it, it doesn't apply to the Quran. Because everything has meaning, whether you're saying the vowel longer or whatever. Everything that you find has meaning. So you don't find this styled stuff. Like, there were other people who had Qurans at the time, but basically they got the idea and they responded, including some woman in the time of Abu Bakr. She had a recital, and it was just like, the elephant. What's the elephant? It has a big old trunk or something, and it just but it was in a way to have just style to it, and certain things came about with the Quran, like the Bible translations. A lot of the Bible translations have Quranic phrases and even a verse, um, because of course that's how things came off best. We find that certain chapters relate to each other. Um, there's sequences and groups. There's the chronological order of revelation, which is important to consider. But also there's stuff that skips things, like the similarity between, there's more similarity between Surah 32 and 36. There are certain uses of Quran chapters. There's more in that volume, that red volume there, than any of the others. Some of that will be considered questionable, but Assalamu alaikum. May the peace, blessings, and mercy of God be upon you.